Myself, Rizwan Khan. I'm the senior partner for HMS Global. And today, we're having a very interesting webinar, for the UAE commercial gaming industry related, in which we'll discuss about the regulatory framework and compliance guide. And to conduct this webinar, we have special requested to Dr. Amarjeet, he's a industry specialist and very close associated with the regulators. So keep helping into the standards and keep also into the different international forum. So he's also PhD in compliance. So today, for the gaming perspective, we will get complete oversight from him that what is right now progressing into the UAE and what is the compliance expectation into the gaming perspective. So we highly welcome to Dr. Amarjeet. And Dr. Amarjeet, hi, how are you, sir?
I'm good, sir. Thank you so much, Mr.
And
Rizwan,
I
for
know
the
you are also the
introduction.
author of the book for the AML compliance.
Yeah, yes,
So
yes.
for our audience, it will be very good, if you can also tell about your book little bit before we
Yeah,
start this thing.
sure. I have launched my book, which is on money trial, financial crime compliance. I launched this book last year, month of October, and it was, thank God, it's a very, very successful book. I think in last 1 year, we have sold around more than 12,000 copies around the world. Most of the sales has come from India, Canada, US, Pakistan, and all. And it was all my experience, what I have jotted down in my book. And my experience, I have worked around all international banks, top international banks and exchange house and everything. So whatever I learned from my experience, I have put everything in my book. So if you get a time, you can definitely go to
Thank
Amazon
you.
and you can see that book. It is available there. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's
Thank you.
amazing.
Thank you.
And I think so, one thing, if you would also highlight what, because industry is taking a shift and
Yeah.
especially gaming industry is becoming very vital. So obviously today's your session will be very interesting and obviously it will be
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
great opportunity for learn to all of us. So one thing for our audience, I tell you that if you have any question, you can raise your hand and you can put into the chat box. So your all questions will be responded by our industry expert, Mr. Dr. Amarjeet.
Yeah.
So let's start the discussion. Let's start the webinar. So Dr. Amarjeet, please proceed.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Rizwan. So once again, thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. So today I will be presenting a comprehensive overview of the UAE commercial gaming industry, which is definitely a new industry for all of us. And it's not about today we're going to only present the regulatory framework and compliance. I will also give you the brief about the industry, what this industry is, commercial gaming is, and how it works, who regulates the industries, and under what law. We also discuss about little bit about the scope of that industry, because for us it is a new industry for everyone. We'll see the scope of that, what is the government plan for these industries, and then we also discuss about the AML and CFT compliance waiver. Definitely we will touch upon a detailed discussion we will do on that also. And at last we'll see, how we can, government, the UAE government is strategizing those kind of industries, what are the licensing requirements are there, and how the AGAMS can support the industry in terms of meeting the regulatory requirements. So to start off with my first slide, what is gaming industry? First of all, we need to understand the gaming industry. As I mentioned, the gaming industry in the UE is, it refers to any industry, is kind of activities where adults waver the money, that outcomes determined by their chance, by their skills, or both with potential prizes. So it is not about the video game or export. It's those are regulated separately, but these are kind of lotteries, internet gamblings, or kind of sport wagering or land based. So we talk about the lottery here. Lottery is like a, think of that, think of ticket based draws. It's like UAE lottery lucky day, which is starts from 50 dirham per ticket, which goes up to 30 million. There is also internet gambling, which also called as gambling kind of thing, which is kind of digital platform which is accessible through app or through website. You can go log into the website, or you can download the app also, which includes your online casinos like poker, slots, or the table games or anything. Sports wagering mostly includes a betting, which is includes a betting on, you can put the betting on a professional sports game like football, like cricket, horse racing, and all, where they put the money on that. And the land base, as we all know, it's kind of physical casino, which is located in particular, in the resort or in a ship or something, not in the ship but in the resort, I'm thinking, where we can see, a slotted machine will be there, or a game table will be there, and live dealers, they will be playing the games there. So this is all about the commercial gaming, what is all about it. Now if we talk about the history and the content of this, where it came from and all, so let me give you brief about it. I'll not spend much time on this. So if we talk about the pre 2023, before 2023, the UE, they had a very, very restrict, it's like a prohibition for all the form of commercial gaming and all. Then it was lead and Islamic principles. So, and force through came through the UAE penal code. Everything was illegal before 2023. What happened in September 2023? The game completely changed. Why? How it changed? The federal law degree established a GCGRA, which is a General Commercial Gaming Regulatory Authority, particularly for the gaming industry, who will check, regulate, provide the license, and everything. We'll discuss in later slide what is it actually they are doing it. So in January 2024, we have seen a tremendous change where the regulatory framework commercially came into force. They activated the GCGRA as a power to issue the licenses, to supervise operation, to check everything what is happening, issue the rules, regulations, and have a proper look into that industry. And then we have seen in 2002, 24, 25, who have faced the rollout. They have started initial licenses were issued to the entities, like we have seen the UAE lottery, or we have also seen the Wayne resorts. They have issued the license under strict AML compliance framework, under the AML strict compliance framework, and they also made responsible gaming controls were implemented. They issued the license, but the main focus was to ensure that they are under the strict AML and CFT compliance and all. Now, what was the reason why they legalized it? No, why not before 2023? Before that, main thing was that economic diversion. So that's the main thing, because they want to reduce the dependency on other resources like oil revenues and everything. Also, they want to boost the tourism. So attracting high value international tourists, that's also very, very important, and definitely control legalization. So that was their main focus. Just to give you brief, what happened the previously historical content and everything. Talking to the government strategy plays a very, very important role. You might have seen that commercial gaming is a key pillar of the UAE vision. Okay, if you see the vision of the UAE 2020-31, the gaming industries, okay, that is one of the main vision for them. What is their main vision is the strategic priorities is that for tourism and the hospitality growth. Okay, they want to develop a world class resorts to attract the global visitors. That is the main vision and priority for them. Digital economy expansion they want to do. They want to include leverage advanced gaming technologies like RNG, blockchains, AI monitoring. You know that AI is currently booming. The UAE is heavily investing on the AIs now. So that is their main focus on that. Definitely, it will also create a big change in terms of job creation and the talent. The UAE expecting around 30,000 plus jobs we can see in terms of in different sectors, whether it is in compliance, or you talk about resort operations or technologies and everything. Now, execution in the incentives, definitely they are there. They are targeting around, GCRG has already issued a licensing roadmap. They are targeting 20 plus licensed vendors by 2026. They also integrated resort benchmark. Okay, also we know that Vian is, Al Majan Island. They are also have served as a regulating operation model, and definitely there are a lot of business activities incentive plan they have issued, which is under the free zones. A lot of packages and everything what they have issued. So let's talk about the global. What is happening at the global level as compared to the UE gaming model. So at the global level, if we compare, like the global industry is worth around more than $500 billion for this one, the gaming industry itself I'm talking about. But in UAE, they have chosen a very, very different path than most of the countries. How they chosen different one? If we talk about the global, let's do a little bit comparison just to give you overview of that, what is happening around the world and what is happening in the UAE. Now, if you talk about the global market model, okay, they have a mass commercialization. Okay, that's they have thousands of operators. They are competing with each other. They have an open competition. Okay, with multiple licenses per category. They have different. They also focus on the volume-based revenues and the maximum player acquisitions and everything. They also have a diverse standardization, which is regulations vary significantly via jurisdictions. Each jurisdiction has different regulations and this one. But what happens in UAE now? that we need to understand here. In UAE, it is very, very tight and controls, which is one of the biggest thing for us, okay, for everyone. Okay, they've focused on only the one lottery or one land base or one on an operator parameters, what they're focusing on. They rolled out the phased rollout, ensuring that regulatory maturity is there, that people are understanding the industry, that people are following the regulation, they're expecting, they're understanding what regulators are expecting from them. They also focus on economic diversification, diversification that they mentioned about the tourisms. They want to attract more tourists, and definitely for the good cost funding and everything. And most important thing, they want to ensure that there should be complete federal oversight on that. For that, exclusive jurisdiction, they under the GCGRA standards. So every casinos, every gaming industries must ensure that they must follow the regulatory requirements. Now, what if you see the cultural control and sensitivity? Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, the UE model integrates strict social safeguards, okay, ensuring they're aligned with the national regulatory, we can say the values and everything. What is that? That they say there is no alcohol in any of the gaming areas. Okay, there's a unique UE requirement. We always know that. Good cost funding, definitely that revenue supports community programs. They want to have a responsible gaming core where they have a player as protection is mandatory. That is the reason they have come across with the AMA regulations, other regulatory requirements, consumer protection laws, and everything, which will also be which will be followed under this industry. So, what is the key message I want to give it here is that the UE model is, it's the kind of prioritized controls, culture sensitivity, we can say, or an economic contribution or maximum revenue generation. That is what they are mostly focusing on. Uh, just to give you brief about it, just 1 minute on that particular slide, just to give brief what is happening in this industry. Projected revenue. If you talk about the projected revenue by UE, they are projecting revenue by 2028. They are projecting around 37 billion revenue from this industry. The current projection shows a market reaching 37 billion by 2028, which is the biggest contribution will be in their GDP contribution, we can call about. Infrastructure pipeline, definitely they are around, there are 4 integrated casino resorts currently planned, or it's under construction also. Employment impact, as I discussed just now in the previous slide, the industry is expected to create more than 30,000 jobs, new jobs by 2028. Okay, in terms of compliance, in terms of resort operations and all, as we discussed. Okay, strategy we just discussed now. They have a UE vision for 2021, Dubai Gaming 2023 becoming very, very specific in mid-level strategies. And third thing is a diversified. So the key message is same as it is not just about the gambling, it's about the economic development initiative with serious job creations and also a tourist benefits also. Now we understood about what is gaming industry. We understood why it was legalized, what is the motive behind it, how it will impact the society, how it will impact the people, the job industry, everything. Now let us understand how this sector operates. Okay, which is a very, very unique thing. How it operates, not like a different the banking or other sectors and all. So they have divided into two phases. The phase one is like a player journey. The phase two is like operational and compliance oversight. Now, what is happening in the phase one? There are around 4 to 5 steps. Let us understand what happens in this step. It's like onboarding level. Okay, as we all know, which like to identify the player through verified using Emirates ID or mandatory KYC checks. He must be, he or she must be 18 plus. Deposit fund, the second step, which is a very, very important step here, which is like secure funding via cards or e-wallets. They cash only separate as a, as approved land venues only. Then we have game executions, which is a lottery has 5 audits like online gaming use, GLI certificate random number generation, which is automatically generating the codes and everything, just to ensure they are fairness, sports betting for real time modes and everything. Monitoring, which is very, very important. They also need to perform a real time screening for money laundering, terrorist financing, and the fraud to ensure that they are all following sanction screening. The PEP screening definitely will remain in all the checks as it's under mandatory requirement to have those all the checks and everything, which we discuss in the later slides also down the line. Payouts and claim, which is they have clearly mentioned that claims must be verified with IDs only. Okay, cannot be with another ID or something. 180 days submission windows there, definitely, which is there. And they also kept some transaction limit also, transaction over 11,000 that triggers additional checks, EDD checks and everything. So this is about the player journey. Now, if you talk about the operational and compliance oversight, they also have some 6 to 10 steps there, where it talks about the audits and records. which is very very important. They want all the records to record retention. 5 years is complete, very very mandatory. They need to have a biennial responsible gaming audits, okay, by GCGRA. Definitely, as any authority are expecting, they would definitely perform the audits to ensure all their the licensed entities are following their rules and regulations. Supervision, definitely, as I mentioned, GCRC will do the inspections with power to suspend also, or to impose a fine, or to revoke the licenses, or it can block the illegal sites also, which they have done it, which we'll discuss in the next slides also. Revenue model definitely will be there, and cultural controls definitely will be there, as we discussed just now. And definitely the security, cyber security with 24 into 7 operation center. They need to have a ISO 2000 27001 grid security control mandatory. So these are all the checks which they have to perform. Why? To ensure that every step is monitored, it's regulated, and designed to protect both the player and the financial system. So if you see, the first one is talking about the player, the customer. Second one is talks about the industry one, to ensure that both are regulated and both are following the as expected from them, the regulations and everything. So that was the brief about the end-to-end model. How the industry operates here. Now we need to understand who are the regulators, who is imposing all these. So if we need to say that the GCGRA, which is a full form, as I mentioned, the General Commercial Gaming Regulatory Authority, is headquartered in Abu Dhabi in ADGM. Okay, and it's in executive leadership. We have a chairman, there's a separate chairman, CEO, licensing officer, and they have already established the timelines for the establishment to September 2023, which came into effect in January 2004. Now we need to understand what is their authorities and the powers. So they came up with 5 important authorities and the power. The key areas they're focusing on. The first will be jurisdiction. Okay, jurisdiction like exclusive federal body for licensing, for supervision, and for enforcement across the entire UAE. That's very very important. Licensing authority, as I mentioned, they are the sole entity, okay, authorized to issue, to renew, or to revoke the gaming commercial license nationwide. They also have a power for enforcement in case any entity, they have a power to inspect the premises, to conduct the audits, or to levy the fine or suspend the operation for any kind of non-compliance, as we have seen other regulators also are doing in UAE in last 2 to 5 years. AML supervision, very, very important area. They will designate a AML CFT supervisor for the gaming sectors. They will be definitely be enforcing the federal financial crime laws and everything. So which plays a very, very important part here. Technical oversight, definitely they have set a standards for RNG fairness, cyber securities, and responsible game to ensure that their customers are well protected and ensure, as we have seen other areas, what is happening. So that is very, very important part, what they have, their, authorities and powers they have taken. Now, if we talk about the regulatory ecosystem, which is very, very important, which we need to understand how this ecosystem is here. In middle, we have, let's talk about the first Ministry of Finance. Okay. Now, Ministry of Finance is like kind of legislative enabler who classify the gaming as a high risk DNFPB. As you know that recently the guidance, the federal law which has came, they have added the gaming industry under high risk DNFPB. Okay, in 2024 as a set, they also need to find set federal AML CFT foundations and everything. Now, if we talk about the national committee, definitely they will coordinate the national policy risk assessments issued in 2025 for gaming industry papers. There is also we can see in the middle, definitely the diagram that the regulator is there, who is primary regulator with exclusive federal jurisdictions which cover the licensing, supervision, and enforcement. Then we also have other regulatory authority, which is FIU, definitely, which will report, which will, it's a kind of reporting authority who will receive the STRs, okay, or any cash transactions filing by the GoML portal through these gaming industries, companies, and everything. We also have a TDRA. TDRA, the full form, we can say Telecommunication and Digital Government Regulatory Authority. They are a digital enforcer who executes technical blocking of illegal and unlicensed gaming domains. We also have a local authority which like Emirates level support, and which also supports them in terms of everything. Then other authorities which are there, like a free zone, we have DMCC, we have ADGMs and all. So all these authorities are there who always, they are the prime supervisors, or we can see who will overlook each and everything. So no entity, in short, the no entity can operate commercial gaming without having a license from GCGRA. So that is the main message in this slide you can take. Other, as we discussed just now about these laws, we will just go through quickly about it. What are the key laws and regulations in terms of these laws and regulations. So we have this, UAE gaming industry operates in the strict, as you mentioned, that they're operating in the strict, we can say under a strict multi-layered legal framework, which is about legal law. As we mentioned that we have a legal law degree establishing by GCGRA, which came into effective in September 2023, and effective came into Jan 2024, which is kind of foundation for us. Okay, the foundation to establish GCR as exclusive federal regulator we can talk about. We also have a UAE Penal Code 31 2021, which is an ongoing, which talks about the criminal law criminalization of unlicensed gambling activities. Now, what is meaning of unlicensed gaming activities, which we can discuss in the next slide. Okay, they also completely given a penalties, how much will the penalties, the fines, and everything. They have clearly mentioned that in the document. There'll also another one.
Excuse me, Dr. Amarjeet, like there's a one question
Yeah,
which is coming from the audience, like how is the UAE model different from the Las Vegas or the Macau gaming industry? Because they have their own challenges, vulnerabilities. So how it is different from the UAE model?
I think it's a fantastic question, sir. As I mentioned in the previous slide, the global gaming industry is worth over $500 billion. But the UE has taken a very, very completely different approach. Okay, if you talk about the global market, like I think a very good example they have given Las Vegas or Macau and all. So they have a very, very mass commercialization. They have thousands of operators running in those areas. They have a volume-driven revenue models, and they have an open competition. But when we talk about the UE control, how it's different from that, UE has a very, very strict limit. They have a strictly limited. They have a mentioned about initially they start with the phases, maybe only one lottery on one land based, or maybe a one online operator per Emirates, and then they also focusing on the quality over quantity. Okay, they don't want a quantity having thousands of operators running and without having proper controls. So their more focus is on the high value integrated resorts where the people can have a completely privacy and everything. Second thing is the most important, cultural control. Okay, cultural control, which is I think the main value for the Dubai for UAE. I can talk about where they don't allow no alcohol in the gaming areas, or they are very much thin line with the UE values, or we can see a federal oversight. So each licensing entity who will get license from that regulator, they have given a complete mandate that they must ensure that they must follow the complete regulatory requirements, which is set by the GCCRA. So that is the most important thing where I can see it is different from other regions and everything.
Thank you very much, Dr. Amin. Very detailed and comprehensively you have highlighted that one. And beside this, because you are continuing the session, but I will take one, is some sort of remarks or some type of question, like one of our friend Jahanzeb Riaz, from the, I think he's from same industry, from our one of the good friend. So he has asked, dear Dr. Amarjeet, thank you for insightful real-time overview of GCCGRA and the gaming sector. I would appreciate your guidance on the applicable reporting mechanism, specifically whether entities in the gaming sector are required to submit STR or SAR through the GoML portal, or if there is any other alternative channel for the reporting.
Okay. I think it's a very fantastic question. We are covering all these AMA regulation number, my second session, which is going to come after 2 slides. In this, we'll
Perfect.
see what is their AMA regulatory requirements, how they need to report the STRs, what is the requirements and everything. I feel, Rizwan, if you just give me 5 more minutes, I will be covering
Yeah,
another
yeah,
two
please
slides in
continue.
detailed
Please
manner.
continue. When
Yeah,
it comes, so you can address the
yeah,
question. Thank
definitely.
you. Thank you.
Definitely. Thank you. Now, let us talk about the licensing categories. We discuss about all those things. Now, to see what type of licenses they are issuing. Okay, no, there are 5 different types of licenses are there. The first license is a kind of gaming operator, which is primer license for conducting gaming activities, which includes a land-based facilities, which includes a national lottery operations, or internet gaming, or sports, or retail operation, which we discussed before. Then The second license comes under which is like a gaming related vendors, which is specifically for the suppliers or everything for critical infrastructures and everything. No, definitely, because the gaming operator, as they need to have a infrastructures and have vendors and everything. So for them, the separate license which includes their gaming technology providers or RMG software suppliers or any hardware manufacturers and everything. So for them, it's separate licensing for the vendors. Third license which they have, that is called the key person corporate, we can talk about the entities which we can say which influence or we can control, which includes a corporate controller or affiliates of operators or management service providers or any holding companies. So for them a separate licenses for them. Then the fourth license which they have, that's called key person or individual, which is under directors or board level members or anything which is a senior level executive setup. Then the last license what they have, that is called a for the gaming employees, which is level 1 supervisory role, and second one is for level 2 non-supervisory role. So which applies for this one. And very important talk here, we talk about the controls and everything. They have completely given the ownership. It should be more than 25% of equity or voting rights or any ability to appoint the board members on anything. So that plays a very, very important role, what type of licenses which the regulators are issuing, and specifically for what purpose and everything. Now, let us go some more deep dive into how this industry works. Okay, that's a very, very important thing we need to understand here. So as we all know that there are different things, are each and every industry has different things here, right? So if they have a mechanism to work, there's operators or vendors, testing labs, payment partners, or in the bank we talk about, we have the payment partners, we have industries, we have a correspondent banks and all those things which are there. Same it happens here also. Now if we talk about the operator, which is a license type one, which we have discussed now, so they are the front end businesses. Okay, they manage the lotteries or online betting platforms or any physical casinos and everything. So they are the one who takes the bets or wagers, or they hold the player balances, or they are the one who pay out the winnings once they get the winning money. And they also are the one who manages the AML and compliance. They are the one who do the screening, they are the one who do the KYC, they are the one who do the STR reportings and everything. So for them also it's very, very important to do that as an operator one. Vendor one, they provide a critical technologies and everything. So for them, they provide the infrastructure that powers the gaming. Okay, in another way we can say like this. So they have a the fairness engines kind of to ensure the random outcomes. They have a kind of geolocation softwares which confirm the players are in UAE or he's playing from different countries or different regions. They also have a gaming machines, or they have risk monitoring systems also. Most of the vendors having a kind of AML or gaming softwares which they can provide to the vendors for these companies and everything. The third is a testing labs, which is very, very important here. So they are the one, it's kind of independent certifier. They are, we can take as a third line of defense, we can call as them. So they are the one that the technology works fairly and ensure that before the launching. So they come, they check everything, they check the random number generator audits, or they do the slot machine testing, they do the security vulnerability assessments, or they can also do the complete risk monitoring checks to ensure everything is working fine or not. And then definitely we have a payment partners like each industry is having. Okay, this is for what? To move the money, right? So regulated financial entities handling deposits and withdrawals and everything. So it could be your bank, it could be your digital wallets, it could be your payment processor, or anybody can be a segregated fund manager. So this is what they are expecting. This is how the gaming industry works, like a normal industry. And also all entities in the ecosystem, they must need to interact with the licensing framework established by the GCGRA, which plays a very, very important role here. Now, in the previous slide, we have seen that illegal gaming. Okay, what is illegal gaming here? We need to understand. Illegal gaming is kind of, any kind of gambling or gaming activities offered to consumers in the UAE without a license. Means you are providing a gaming platform or a gaming activity, you are doing it without having license from the GCGRA. It will be called as illegal gaming, which is very, very important. So for them it is a zero tolerance. Okay, there should be a which includes offshore platform, that it is your foreign website targeting UAE users, or it could be your unlicensed app which can you access through the VPNs or anything. So for them, it's completely zero tolerance. And we have seen also, in last couple of years, in the last year, we have seen they have blocked around 6,500 plus domains. They have blocked, the regulatory body, they have, actively monitoring those currently and blocking any unauthorized access to any kind of gaming platforms and everything. Now, consequences for different groups, definitely they have mentioned that what happen if they identify if you are illegally performing, playing, having a gaming activities or everything. So for them, if it is a player, then it's be a criminal liability. It could be the fine, it could be jail, it could be, no protection of fund. Definitely there'll be a risk of your data theft also. Also, if in case if you are a promoter, okay, you are marketing the unlicensed gaming industry, okay, without verifying, performing the KYC on the gaming industry, whether they have a proper license from the regulator or not, they will also be under a severe penalties also. There could be a prosecutions, there could be a, block their website license and everything. Also for the operators, it is a huge risk. Okay, so in any operator who is running the gaming industry could also face a heavy fine, imprisonment also, and they can also sanction the industry as well. So illegal gaming, in short, it's, they have a zero tolerance now for any kind of illegal gaming, and anyone who is involved in that may face a heavy enforcement, and the consequences are very severe now. So that is what we need to understand in terms of illegal gaming. Now, this is very important slide where we need to see what are the risks to the UAE systems and the players, okay, in case if they are involved in the illegal gaming. Now, we have seen in many regions, in many of the other countries where the gamings are there, which is, from long time they are playing, but there is no regulations in that. There is no oversight. There is no monitoring of happening in that. If that is not there, then what happens that? There's a risk on the consumers, which is an important thing here, right? We consumers who are playing the games and everything, they play with legal, there is no legal recourse for them. Can be unpaid for the winning also, whatever amount they have won from the lottery, that cannot be paid by the vendor, or they can lose their deposits and everything, or it can be disappear also. Second thing is integrity risk. Okay, that means there is no fairness oversight, as there will be no regulations, and there is no fairness and everything. Games like any certified random numbers, they can choose and pick their own numbers and let their the person who may want to win the game, they can give the winning ball to them. So second thing, the cyber risk. Cyber risk is, we all know that is very risky. We have a data lost risk and everything which will be there. And if the licensed person is not having the ISO certified, does not following the proper security controls, there is a chances of data leak of the customers. Systematic risk, which is definitely undetected financial crime, which is there. They can be having illegal platform who do not force any AML compliance checks. They do not perform any KYC checks on the customers, and that will lead to the money laundering or terrorist financing also in that. National risk, definitely there will be a reputation and the credibility damage on the country, which that's the reason, considering all this risk, the regulator, the UE, has come up with a completely guidance and oversight on such industries. If we talk about the penalties and all, definitely they have imposed a very high penalties in case if anyone who is not performing an illegal gamings or not following the regulatory guidelines and everything, they have completely mentioned their guidance that they could be the 10 years imprisonment, there could be more than $500,000 fine, they could be applies to anyone who is operating the gaming venue or platform without having a licensed from the GCGRA, which is very important thing here. Also, digital crime, illegal promotion and frauds, as we discussed now, for them also it is, they have given a completely, kind of penalties and everything. And also, as we just discussed, active enforcement also in place. They have blocked more than 6,500 illegal sites, and it's currently going on. And whenever they identify any kind of, the website which is illegally operating without having the licenses and everything. Now, till now, we discussed all about the gaming industry, where it has come from, what is happening to the industries, what are the risks involved in that, what happens if we don't follow and everything. Now, let us focus on our AML, which is our today's very important agenda here. What they need to do. Okay. As we know that the gaming industry is designated as a high-risk DNFPB sector. DNA, we talk about designated non-financial business and in businesses and professions. Now, there are very important thing we need to identify is that there are three inherent risk factors which are there. Why they are classified as a high risk for us? So first of all, it's a large volume deposits, the ability to deposit significant sum of cash, or maybe the digital fund they can create where you can have entry point to placing the illicit proceeds and then convert into as a legitimate financial systems. That's the main risk they identified here. Okay. Now that's the reason the AML rules applies to the gaming industry. A lot of questions, but I've seen previously they're saying why there is a gaming industry as categorized as high risk, and why it is under false and DNFPB, why they need to come under AML regulations and everything. So that is the main reason, because of large volume of deposit. They can open the to do the large scale deposits and everything. Second thing, it's a fast transaction cycle. Okay, the rapid turnover between the betting and the result allows money launderer to layer funds quickly. As we know that once the customer who plays the money deposits the fund, once he win the game, immediately he can take over, deposits the funds and get the arranged funds in their bank account, which is very very quickly happen. The transaction cycle is very very fast, which gives a chance to the money launderers to play these betting games and everything, and take advantage of the system to immediately launder their illegal funds. Cross-border payouts, as we mentioned, that these are definitely there. Winning can often be transferred internationally. If you are happening playing in UAE, you can also give advice to transfer the funds to other countries, which you can easily move your prize money or something to other countries as well. Now, as considering all these inherent risks which are identified in these gaming industries, that's the reason they have come across as a national protection goals. What was that? Safeguard the financial systems. Okay, they prevented the UAE banking or financial infrastructure to ensure that they should not exploit this kind of sector, and have a proper safeguard of the financial systems. And second thing, we already discussed about upholding the tourism. And third thing, as we all know, that avoid the fact of grey listing to ensure they are following the strict AML guidelines and commitments which is there for them. So that was the reason why the DNPB has come up as a high risk DNPB sector. There's a lot of people have asked this question, why AML applies to them. So that is the answer of the question for those who asked this question. Now, let us understand what are the main risks which are there. As we already discussed just now, definitely the risk is there. Any money laundering risk is there. We already discussed just now. The criminals who can use cash or third-party deposits, they can place a minimal bet and then ask for the payout to clean winning. Okay, that's called the cycle for placement, layering and integration. They also can have a high velocity transaction, enables layering and structuring. Okay, under the 11,000 threshold, you know that there is a threshold we can discuss in the next slide also. Okay, which they can give a chance to split the funds and deposit into smaller amounts. Second risk is that tariff financing risk, which is there. They can do a small or cross-border transfers, masked as a legitimate bets or deposits. Okay. Proliferation financing risk, which has recently been added in the previous law which they have issued. The sanctioned entities or state actors can attempt to use gaming industries to evade the international sanctions which are there. And definitely the fraud and crime risk always be there in terms of everything. So the risk includes maybe your account will be takeover, or bonuses can be abused, or insider collusion that can also be there. So the overall risk which we can see here is a gaming industry facing a unique high risk exposure, which requires definitely a robust detection mechanism to ensure that the criminals, the money launderer, the tariff financiers should not use this industry to do any kind of money laundering, tariff financing, or qualification financings, or any kind of fraud or anything. So that is a main thing here. Now, let us understand what is expected from the uh, licensing authorities, okay, whoever takes a license from the regulator. So for them, the most important thing is that license operators are highly mandated to implement a comprehensive AML and CFT framework. Okay, this is as per the federal law degree number 10 2025. They also have a cabinet decision, as we discussed in the previous slides. Okay, so for them, their very very important thing is terms of onboarding. They need to ensure that they must identify, do the complete identity verification, they do the complete KYC. They need to have the mandatory collection and verification of their Emirates IDs, the passport for all the players. Okay, so it's not be like they should not open any account without any ID copy or without performing any kind of KYC checks or having any kind of anonymous account or something. Second important thing is very very important is the due diligence, okay, which plays a very very important part in any of the financial industry. So they must perform a standard due diligence or enhanced due diligence based on the level of the risk the customer is posing. So that means they have to perform a risk assessment to understand what kind of risk the customer is posing, it's high, medium, or low. And the most important thing is the sanction and the PEP screening, which is always there. As per the law, we have to perform a screening on all our customers and everything, real-time screening with a list, which is a UN list and minimum as a UE local terrorist list. And ensure that we need to perform the political exposed person list, the PEP list before onboarding of the customers and everything. So transaction time, payment time, and real time, the screening all should be there. Transaction monitoring plays a very, very important role. You should have a transaction monitoring systems also in place where you need to have an automated system. They are expecting, the regulators are expecting to have automated systems to detect the suspicious betting patterns or any kind of structuring or any kind of rapid withdrawals and anything. Also, another thing, regulatory filing. As previously somebody asked me the question, do they need to file a suspicious transaction report? Yes, they need to have a access to the GoML. They need to submit any suspicious transaction reports or cash transaction reports via GoML portal. So that's the
So
answer of
this
the previous
question is
question.
very clear, Dr. Amajit, now that the companies which will be regulated by the authorities, so they need to file the STR or SAR and CTR through the
Exactly.
GoML portal.
Exactly, sir. They have to.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Thank you.
Thank you. Other thing they also mentioned in terms of data record retention, they also need to have a 5 years record retention policy. They need to keep. They need to ensure that all their, the players' data, their transaction logs, KYC documentation, the STRs which you file, any kind of reports and everything should be maintained for a minimum for 5 years. Also, important thing, they need to have a designated qualified MLRO, which is very, very important part here, who should be responsible to ensure that regulators' expectations are completely met in the company. And second thing, internal audit and oversight, which plays a very, very important role. They need to have independent internal audit department who should oversight, who should do the completely independent check in the compliance function in the system to ensure they are completely working fine and they are working as expected by the regulator. In case of any gaps are there, they must immediately report to the board of directors. So these are the helicopter view of what the AMA regulations for their operators will be there in UAE.
One question, Dr. Amarjit, which
Yes,
is
sir.
coming very interesting question. Basically, it is related to our industry also. They are asking that the if some company is providing some services into the GCGRA regulated firm. So for that, like let's suppose compliance services, so they need some regulatory approval for this, or the third party they can perform the responsibilities, especially
No, they
like
need to have
establishing
approval.
the
They need to
policies
have
or
approval. Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, they
they
need to
need.
have a proper approvals and everything for them as well.
Okay, okay, they need approvals from them, and
Yeah, so that's the reason the
uh,
different type of licenses they are issuing for each one of them category.
yeah. And one question is also, which is also related to your disc. I think you are coming there for the technical control and digital age. So if you discuss that, so after that I will ask that question.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Okay, please.
So if we talk about the AML execution requirements, so they are divided into the two things here. How they divided into the as per regulatory website, as per their, mandated by the cabinet decision also. They are divided into two things. The first, the technical control. Second is the operational control. Now, what the regulators are expecting? They're expecting a proper systems and infrastructure should be in place. Okay. Means if we talk about the certified technology, should they are expecting as GLI certified, systems and geolocation barrier to understand where the customer is logging, where the customer is playing the games, is betting, whether in UAE or outside the UAE. So that kind of technology they're expecting. Real-time monitoring, as I mentioned, is very, very important. They should have a automated screening for for all the transactions. It terms of whether it is real sanction screening or monitoring transaction. It all should be real time, means instant only. Unified prayer database, definitely you should have a cross operator risk tracking to prevent platform hopping or should not be performed playing with a multiple applications or multiple IDs, and also that kind of control should be there. Cyber security standards, as I mentioned, is very, very important. Digital age gating, so they should not be, they should restrict anybody playing or allowing any onboarding, below 18 years of age or something. And that means they're expecting a proper onboarding procedures and everything. Now if you talk about the governance and the process side, they have also come up with a threshold trigger. So what we are expecting, they are expecting around automated flag for any customers who are doing a transaction above 11,000 or who is doing splitting the transactions just to avoid the threshold limits. So that kind of controls are expecting. They're also expecting around escalation protocols where they have a mandatory internal reporting channel for any kind of suspicious transaction, where there should be a monitoring rules based on the typologies and everything. In case of any suspicious transactions, the system should immediately flag and should go to take that particular decisions and everything. SAR decision log. Okay, they're also expecting to maintain a complete log for all the reports filed, as I mentioned before in the previous slide. All any STRs, SAR which report to the GoML portal should have a proper documentation and everything. Verified claims, they are also expecting that payouts must be with a verified ID and should be processed everything within 180 days. And definitely there is also a change control. There should be a strict governance framework for all your policies, procedures, or any kind of software patches and everything which will be released, because as you know that it's very, very high risk industries and proper controls and everything should be there. So execution level, these are divided into two parts. One is technical control and second one is operational controls. Governance side, I think very, very important part. They are more focusing in terms of the governance here. So what they're expecting that the board of directors, they have ultimately responsible for setting up the AML compliance or taking the responsibility for that. Okay, as in all the industries as we have seen that. Okay, so the four important board responsibilities for that regulators has mentioned their in their regulation. They mentioned that the board must definitely approve the AML compliance policies. They must review and approve the comprehensive AML compliance policies minimum at annually. They must also have a risk appetite document which says what kind of risks are acceptable and what kind of risks are not acceptable. Okay, they also need to appoint MLRO, as we discussed. They also need to understand which type of customers are high risk customers or VIP customers, and those customers who have a direct kind of approval to the board before we onboard such kind of customers. Now, if you talk about the risk assessment, they is very, very important for them. No, they divided the risk assessment into two parts for them. The first will be your institutional risk assessment, which will be your macro level, means definitely as we also called as EWRA, enterprise wide risk assessment. Okay, which need to understand about your customer types, your geography channels, what kind of products you are dealing with into geographical exposure, different regions and everything, payment methods, how you are paying out to the customer, definitely your technology partners, your transaction volumes and everything. So they're also expecting this industry to have a comprehensive risk assessment on your industry to understand where the risk is there, and then you have a proper controls and everything in place. Second thing, they also want us to do a micro level individual profiling, which also we called as customer risk assessment, which we do in normal way for any type of customer which gets onboarded, right? So they also expect the same trigger, the first year time of onboarding time. They want to have a onboarding time risk assessment, which every player must be assessed, okay, based on the different parameters, whether it's based on his customer type, nationality, jurisdictions, and all the factors which will be there. And then you can risk rate whether it is your high risk customer, low risk customers, or medium risk customers. Second thing is also a periodic one. They mentioned about the risk assessment. As we all know, it should not be a one time. It should be a periodic exercise. Means regularly we need to reassess the customer. Okay. And third thing is any type of behavior change. In case of you see any change in the pattern of the customer who is regularly playing the games or who is insisting, payouts to different countries or different regions, or payout to any third party account. So in that changes, we need to definitely perform the risk assessment in that. So as in short, it means that the risk assessment is a continuous process, not a one-time process. And whatever you do, you need to inform the board level. The board should be actually engaged in that. MLRO's responsibility is that to inform the board in case of any change in the risk and everything. So that's the most important thing what they have highlighted here. Now, they also says that we need to perform an enhanced due diligence in what areas. So in what areas they are saying we need to perform as per the regulator, they are saying that in case of any PEP customers, okay, you identified, you need to perform, especially the foreign PEPs or any kind of their family members or anything, you need to perform enhanced due diligence on those kind of customers. Or any customer who are your VIP customers or any high value players, okay, who the players who's kind of the playing exceeding the deposit or something, or any customer who is from the high risk jurisdiction, maybe from the FATF gray list or other countries which you can take, or any corporate structure which is a kind of complex structures, okay, which you are unable to identify who is ultimately owning the company, like one company owned by another company, then another company owned by another company. So those kind of structures or any kind of trust structures, EDD must be performed. Or in case of any time the customer want to have a third party payments, means they want us the customer to pay out to the third party, or the funds are coming from the third party. So in these cases, we need to perform a enhanced due diligence. Other thing also, they are saying that what mandatory EDD action should be there. In that, as we all know, in case of EDD, we need to establish the source of the fund, wealth, the source of the fund, and also to take a senior management approvals and ensure that all these are monitored on daily basis. Now, who need compliance support now? This is very, very important. We need to understand. So they are saying that every licensed entity, okay, who demonstrate that they have a full operations readiness to the GCCRA licenses before they going live, they must have all these infrastructures in place. These infrastructures are divided into two parts. One is a core compliance infrastructure. Second one in terms of their audit, training, or their readiness. We just discussed about core compliance. Core compliance definitely need to have a compliance policies, risk assessments. They need to have their, the risk appetite statements should be approved by the board. They need to have a risk assessment processes, EWRAs, customer risk assessment. They need to have a sanctions and watch list screening. They need to have a risk scoring model. And definitely they should have a vendor onboarding support also. Not only the customer, they also should onboard the vendors also. Audit rally, if you talk about, they are mostly talking about the inspection level. Okay, at time of inspection, when they come for the inspection, they need to have a ready documentation, okay, and log for all the inspection should be maintained. They need to have a mandatory independent audit check. Somebody should come and inspect their compliance function. And definitely the most important part, they focused on the training part, okay, because a completed new sector, they should have a certified AML compliance officers, certified AML team, and they need to perform a compliance trainings to all their staffs inside the company, whether it is compliance staff, frontline staff, second level staff, or it's a board members. So that is their major focus, what they have put it there. Now we understood the regulatory requirements and everything. Now, as a AGMS, okay, advisory consultant, one of the biggest consultant in UAE, what support, what we can offer, okay, what we can support to our customers and everything. Definitely, in terms of licensing infrastructure, in terms of AML CFT framework builder, we are here to help in terms of creating the policies, procedures, the workflows, and everything. Responsible gaming player, definitely independent compliance checks we will also definitely do as independent auditor. We can also provide a kind of trainings. We also have a separate training institute called as Hayford Institutes, where we can provide the comprehensive trainings. We also have a separate vendor screening systems. We have a customer operating system like a DG, where we can perform the complete sanction screening, transition monitoring, risk assessments, and all those things we also perform. Apart from that, we also have retainer advisory services. If any of the company industries needs or any kind of advisory services, we are always there to support those kind of companies as well. So with this, I have completed my presentation for the today. Now I will open the deck for any questions or something, please. Mr. Rizwanji, over to you. Mr. Rizwan?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Majid. We have some of the small questions. One question came from Shruti Shyam. She is asking is land-based commercial gaming sector limited to physical casinos, or it's also some digital casinos are also there? So which will be regulated from this authority? So have you if you give us
So
the
I think
little thought about
it
it?
is for for land-based, a separate licensing regulatory requirements for them also they have given what exactly they have to follow. For land-based, a separate licenses, as I mentioned my previous, the licenses are categorized into different categories. One is land-based, another one is online gaming, another one is lottery. So all land-based is only for the physical location where they can integrate, or they can have a physical location only where they can go have a separate table or this one. And second one is for the online gambling. So anyone who want to opt for that, they can have a two separate licensing for that, or maybe include it in one also.
And one question, Dr. Amarjeet, is related to like related to MLRO. So MLRO needs to be approved by the GCCGRA. So, what about that?
There is no specific requirement they mentioned about, but they mentioned about MLRO should be a well qualified person. He should understand the regulatory expectations and everything.
Uh, yes.
Yeah.
And one question related to the certificates, like digital certificates. So obviously, like all participants will get the digital certificates. And I think like till now, I have completed all the questions. If still someone is having, we have 5 minutes, so we can ready to address those questions. If someone is having any other question. And meanwhile, Dr. Amarjeet, related to one question like which also coming in my mind that uh, how does the GCCGRA ensures like these games are fair? So it's little bit control if you can highlight.
Mhm. So such is a very, very important part, what we have also, discussed in that. So they are more focusing on the two things, what we can call it here. The first thing what they are more focusing is on the continuous intelligence gathering. Okay, they should be also have a technology evolutions, need to have a regulatory engagements which we need to do like a direct dialogues with the GCRC emerging threats. There should be a cross-border learning platform should be there, and there should be online training platforms where they always ensure that they are having a independent testing labs or real-time monitorings or any enforcement powers in case if they don't follow this. So we already discussed in the previous slides what they're expecting from the industry. They want to have a properly kind of infra AML safety program, then to have a compliance screening system. They want to have risk scoring models, then to have onboarding structures, or anyone independent auditor should be in place who can assess that and report it to the regulators or report it to the or to their board. So that kind of things if we have, then I think it will be properly controlled and also monitor. As you know that regulators are very, very keen now. They definitely come up with inspections and everything. That during that time of we should be able to demonstrate to the regulator that yes, we are able to follow your rules and regulations in our company.
Perfect. Sounds great. And now, I think you have concluded in a very best manner, and we have taken the all of the questions. So, future way forward is this: if anyone looking forward to incorporate their company into GCCGRA perspective, so they can contact with us and any sort of compliance services which is required, so we can help them out for the outsourcing of the compliance, especially establishment of the policies, screening perspective, or like risk assessment, and also from the monitoring perspective and reporting also. So this was this our continuation of our webinars. So one of the webinars we were thinking that this is a new dimension and it's becoming a nowadays. If you see into the free zones also, a lot of free zones are also started work into this for the gaming perspective. They are also issuing licenses. So it's becoming more broader in UAE. So what we need to do, we need to keep update ourselves according the expectations, what the regulatory authorities they are expecting from the firms, and how they need to align themselves with the regulatory compliance. So this continuation of the webinars, beside this like GCC GRA, we will have planned that this year we will do a lot of new AML CFT compliance webinars in which mostly Dr. Amarjeet will lead all those webinars. So related to our how you need to connect with us. So keep in touch with on our LinkedIn, like especially our AGMS LinkedIn. So we will keep updating to everyone. Same time, our emails will also keep coming to all of you, and our digital certificate as a documentary evidence that you have attended this webinars. Because this is our idea to make industry more educated and bring more awareness, and this is one of the small efforts which we are doing from our end, which will obviously helpful for the industry and for the professional also, I'll say. So we would request that in upcoming sessions also keep joining us and keep sharing your questions. We will try to respond those questions as well. So, in the last, I would highly thanks to Dr. Amarjeet for his very valuable webinar. Honestly, today we learned a lot, including myself. We learned a lot from you. So, thank you very much, Dr. Amarjeet.
Thank
And
you,
thank you to
Dr.
all of
Usman.
our audience also as well.
Sir, I just want to
And
take one question which has been just put by Mr. Santosh.
yeah,
Mr. Santosh, as far as I know, as per their website, they have issued, I think, the one sports license and one internet gambling license. I think the one sport which I remember, it's, if I'm not wrong, this coin technology project. And that is the one they have issued. And another one is for internet gambling also. And your another question, whether they will be having, supervision across the seven Emirates. Yes, I'm sure they will be having exclusive federal jurisdiction to regulate the licenses and everything across all the jurisdictions. That's what we are expecting also in coming years. And that will apply to all, maybe the lottery, internet gamblings and everything. So down the line, we expect to see a more licensing issued by the regulator across all the seven Emirates. So I hope I answered your question, Mr. Santosh.
brilliant, Dr. Amarjeet. And thank you very much for this valuable session. And we
Thank you,
wish you
sir.
all, yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
And
everyone. Thank
and
you.
you are looking very smart. So thank you
Thank you, sir.
to
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
So stay blessed and keep connecting with us through our webinars. So thank
Yeah.
you from AJMS to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.